Hi viewers, it's me Arun M. John. Hearty welcomes to my channel Mr. Iju Media, the world of bioscience. Before starting the new session, I request you all to subscribe my channel and press the bell icon to get the future notification assured. A pretty and studious girl named Miss Sonika Singh from Bihar requested me to present a class on the topic absorption by roots in plants. So today's class is about absorption by roots. A skin deep or superficial explanation about the absorption by root in plants will be quite absent by all means if a teacher just explain the way the plant conducts water and minerals across its plant body. So I wish to explain the basic facts in detail. Let's check the basic facts about the absorption mechanisms in plants. After that, we will keep an eye on the real mechanisms behind the absorption of water and minerals in plants. As you know all well, that plants conduct water and minerals in their plant body with the help of roots. And roots has different kinds of conducting tissues, water conducting tissues. As you know all well, they are nothing but xylem and phloem. And xylem has 4 more derivatives and phloem has another 4 more derivatives. And xylem has a xylem vessels, xylem tracheids, xylem parenchyma, and phloem has companion cells, sieve tube cells, sieve plates, phloem parenchyma. So many derivatives are there. And you know that this xylem conducts water from the root to different parts of the plant, and the phloem transports food prepared formed as a result of the photosynthesis to different parts of the plant. Among the derivatives of xylem, xylem vessels and the phloem tracheids are the most important one. They are the important vascular conducting tissues found in the plants. And the stem, roots and leaves of the plants are blessed with xylem vessels and xylem tracheids. And the plants that are having these vascular conducting tissues, that means xylem and phloem, are said to be vascular plants. And the basic mechanism behind the absorption of the plant is, plants are two. One is active transport and the second one is passive transport. And you know that in the plants, these two kinds of mechanisms are there to transport this water and minerals. And what is passive transport? Passive transport is the movement of water or solids from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration. That means in the soil, the concentration of water is more, so it will be transported from the soil to the plant body. And the real factors which plays behind an important role behind this process is nothing but the concentration gradient. So the water moves from a region of higher concentration to lower concentration without the expense of any kind of energy. So this kinds of movement of biochemicals or water from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration is known as, without the expense of energy, is known as passive transport. And obviously this one osmosis and diffusion comes under this passive transport mechanisms. And active transport mechanism means the movement of the water or the biochemical molecules or whatever that solutes from a region of lower concentration to a region of higher concentration at the expense of energy. That means energy in the form of ATP is known as active transport. These two are the different kinds of transporting mechanisms, water transporting or biochemical transporting mechanisms found within the plant body. Water is a polar molecule. It has so many kinds of properties and features. And in these properties and features, cohesion, adhesion, capillarity, etc. are the most remarkable ones. And what is cohesion? Cohesion is the attraction of like molecules. And water molecules gets attracted to another water molecule because of cohesion. Then what is adhesion? The attraction of one kind of molecule to the substance of another or the molecules of another substances is known as adhesion. The water molecule gets attracted to molecules of another substances because of adhesion. The third one is capillarity. What is capillarity? It is the ability or the capability of a water molecule capability of a liquid to pass through or to go through narrow spaces without the assistance of any kinds of forces. That is known as capillarity. So cohesion, adhesion, capillarity, all these are the remarkable properties of water that helps the ascent of water from the root to the different parts of the plant. And you know that in plants there is a particular kind of process that is nothing but transpiration. Every day transpiration happens. Water is lost, constantly water is lost from the plants due to transpiration, and water is lost through the stomata found on the leaves. And when one molecule of water is lost, another molecule of water is gained due to these kinds of properties, due to cohesion, adhesion, and capillarity, etc. And you know, water is a polar molecule. A slightly negative charged oxygen atom of one water molecules make a bond with slightly positively charged hydrogen atom of another water molecule. And you know the structure of dicot root. The structure of root, here we may take the structure of a dicot root. For example, though we have root hair cells and a cortex, and there is an endodermis, inner endodermis, and the outer endodermis is impregnated with waxy materials like a suberin, and there is a Casparian strip inside which we can see protoxylem, metaxylem, phloem, and we know the structure of root. So the water and the solutes should enter into the plant from the soil, and it must be transported to the plant body. So the movement of water or the biochemical solutes in the plants can be done, or the movement of the plants and so the movement of water and the biochemical solutes is done with the help of two kinds of mechanisms. That means the movement of water movement, two kinds of water movements are there. The first one is apoplast pathway and the second one is symplast pathway. Both apoplast pathway and symplast pathway can transport water up to the root cortex. And these are the two different kinds of water transporting pathways found within the plant root, and in which apoplast pathway is a particular one. It has a speciality. The movement of water can be done only up to the root cortex or up to the xylem. The plant, so the water moves from cell to cell without entering to the cytoplasm of the cell. Cell to the cell, through the cell wall. Through the cell wall, the water moves through the cell wall. Cell to the cell, without entering to the cytoplasm. And inside the root we know that there is an endodermis. So the apoplast pathway can bring water up to the root cortex. Inside the root cortex there is an endodermis. It's a particular kind of layer and it is impregnated with hydrophobic waxy material known as exuberin. So water and the solute cannot be transported into the xylem or the metaxylem found within or inside the endodermis. And symplast pathway is another one. That is a kind of passive diffusion. That means the movement of water, the water is moved from cytoplasm to the adjacent water molecules, and the water and the solute can freely diffuse into the cytoplasm via symplast pathway. To compensate the continuous water loss from the plant due to transpiration, a root hair cells absorbs more water from the soil. And root hair cells absorbs water from the soil, and this absorption is aided by the transpiration pull, and we have studied that transpiration pull. And this transpiration pull is caused due to root pressure. Then what is the root pressure? It is the force that helps the plant to drive the water upwards into the vascular tissue's xylem. So transpiration pull is the intake of water due to transpiration. Inward intake of water due to transpiration, that is transpiration pull. It is aided by root pressure, and root pressure is the force that helps the plant to drive more water from the soil to the vascular tissues, root pressure. And another term is there, water potential. And water potential is more negative in plant cell than the pure water. That is the reason why water enters into the root hair cells from the soil. And what is water potential? The water potential is the energy needed to transport the water from the solution to the pure solvent. So the water potential is very small, negligible one in plant cell. So the water enters from soil to the plant body. So it's just a kind of endosmosis. And the plant cell has high concentration of solute than the soil water. The solutes, the biochemical solutes, and they are transported from the soil water to the cells with the expense of energy, that means ATP, that means the transport of biochemicals or solutes due to active transport is happening there. So there is a concentration difference now. So due to active transport, the concentration of biochemicals are high in root cells, and it is high than the soil water. So there is a concentration difference in the case of solutes. So the water moves from a region of higher concentration to lower concentration. That means the root hair cells are having high solute concentration and low water concentration. And the soil water is high in water concentration and low in solute concentration. So the movement of water from a region of high concentration to lower concentration happens. So the water moves from soil to the plant cell. And the process is nothing but endosmosis. So the ions or the solutes or the biochemicals will be transported inside the endodermis via an active transport mechanism. With the expense of energy only, ions can move across the endodermis cells because the endoderm is impregnated with seaborine, so it is impermeable. So the solute are to be transported by spending additional energy in the form of ATP. So once inside the endodermis, these ions will be deposited in the protoxylem, metaxylem, and etc. So the xylem seen outside the endodermis and inside this endodermis, in between these two kinds of xylem tissues, there will be a concentration difference. So the cells in the root cortex, so there is a concentration difference in between the cells in the root cortex and cells inside the endodermis. So the concentration of ions will be more in the cells present within the endodermis, and the concentration of the root, that means the ions will be less in the cells present in the root cortex. So once inside the endodermis, the ions cannot diffuse back to the root cortex, and it will be transported to the cell to cell via plasmodesmata. And it then, when it enters inside the endodermis, it will follow symplastic pathway, that means cell to cell pathway, and it will be transported cell to cell via plasmodesmata and all. So the ions will be transported from the root cortex inside the endodermis via I2 transport. So this is the mechanism, and you know that due to transpiration and all, water is continuously lost from the plant, and you know that because of the cohesion, adhesion, capillarity and all, water is pulled along from the root cortex, from the root hairs, and you know that, and we have studied that one. And because of all these kinds of properties, there is a continuous running of water from the soil to the top of the plant. But there will be a blockage in the continuous flow of water in the form of cell sap. That kind of blockage is known as embolism. It is because of the formation of air bubbles. And the formation of air bubbles makes a blockage in the continuous ascending of cell sap. And that kind of bubble formation is known as cavitation. And the blockage in the continuous flow of water from top to the bottom is known as embolism. So it can be rectified with the help of so many kinds of innumerable number of small perforations seen on the xylem vessels. These perforations, small pores seen in the xylem vessels, they will reduce the number of air bubbles, and it will ease the transport of almost continuous transport of water from top to bottom. So this is the basic mechanism behind the transportation of water. I will explain it again from root to the top of the plant. So cohesion, adhesion, transpiration pull, capillarity, all these kinds of properties plays a wonderful role in bringing this kinds of a wonderful physiological phenomena a grand success. So this is the basic feature of absorption by root in plants. And here is the end of this session. I request you all to subscribe my channel Physiology Media, the world of bioscience, to get a future notification as well. Thank you.